My number 4 fondest boss battle memory is Yunalesca from Final Fantasy X. And the thing with Yunalesca is she was very difficult, and I kept fighting her at least 3 or 4 times before I beat her, and they were long battles. And I think that's what made it so memorable and a fond experience for me, is that it was so rewarding once I did beat her. Once I figured it out, or just got lucky, whichever one that it was, because I felt like I had grinded enough, like my characters were leveled up enough that I should have been able to take this battle, but figuring out the way that she would cast zombie and do these instant death spells and trying to just get together the strategy to beat her felt like a very rewarding effort once I finally accomplished the task. Now, the weird thing was, the second time I went back through that game, I beat her on first try, which I was not expecting. I was expecting to get stuck there again and to be doing that all over again. So, but it felt really rewarding again, once again, to beat her just because she was so tough. So, number 4, Yunalesca from Final Fantasy X. My third fondest boss battle memory is the first time you face off against Shredder in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4: Turtles in Time. It's early on in the game, and when you get to him, you're like, whoa, I'm fighting Shredder already. It's kind of a big deal, but you find out once you eventually beat him that you end up, that's just the beginning of the game, because that's when you actually start to go back into time and to really get into the gimmick of the game in this side-scrolling beat 'em up. But the thing that I really enjoyed about Shredder in this battle, for a beat 'em up game, it wasn't your typical beat 'em up boss battle, because you get this kind of over-the-shoulder view of Shredder in the cockpit of this machine, and you see the cursor of a machine gun that he's shooting at you, and you see, and you can, like, all the foot soldiers are coming in from the sides attacking you, and the way you defeat Shredder is to throw those foot soldiers at the screen at Shredder's machine. So it was just a really interesting perspective, and one of the more memorable boss battles that I ever participated in. Certainly not one of the hardest, unlike Yunalesca, which I felt really good about because it was such a difficult fight. This one, it was the gimmick, it was the creative way that they put together this boss fight. My number 2 is a weird one, and one that I think a lot of people might not actually consider a boss fight, but it really is, and it's anytime in BioShock where you have to face off against a Big Daddy. And the thing that makes these interesting is, first of all, you're in a really creepy environment, and you see this lumbering foe that you have to take on. But what really makes this boss battle different from a lot of your other ones is the fact that you choose when it takes place, because you can ignore them and stay out of the way and not piss them off, and you don't really get involved in that. You may not be able to advance. You don't get the energy from the little sisters. I can't remember what it's called. Plasma? Maybe it's plasmids? I can't remember what it's called. But you don't get that, so it's something you really need to do is to fight the Big Daddy, but you choose when the battle begins. So a lot of times you get in there, you get prepared, you have the weapon out you want, you have the power set that you want to use, and you go and you start the fight. But if you mess up, if you stall, you forget switching between your power and your weapon, if you forget and something happens and then he gets on you, you're in trouble. And he's like a tank, really tough to take down, takes a lot of damage, and so the more you do it, the better you get at it. But it's really ominous, because you have to make that decision. You have to go in there and be like, okay, here it goes. I'm about to do it. I'm about to fight him. And so you have to really ground yourself and get ready for the battle. And I think that's what makes it interesting, on top of the scary atmosphere that you're in. My number 1, if you know me, it couldn't be too much of a surprise, and that's M. Bison from Street Fighter 2. The Street Fighter series is one of my favorite video game series of all time, and now I don't look at it as a tough fight anymore because I've done it so many times. But I remember as a kid when I found out that all the different characters have different endings, and I wanted to see those endings. You know, I didn't have the internet. I couldn't go onto YouTube and look up what this character's ending was, that character's ending was. If I wanted to see it, I either had to have a friend who could do it, or I had to do it myself. And so I took up the task. I'm going to beat it with every character and see all these endings. And so I set forth on my quest for that battle and beat it with my better players, and even starting off that took me a long time to get the hang of. And again, it was like with Unalesca, it was a really rewarding feeling when you finally beat him, because I'd have some fits there where when I was earlier on in my Street Fighter career, when I was early on in my development and my skills on that game, that I just played the M. Bison fight over and over and over, continue after continue after continue, trying to beat him to see this ending. And you couldn't set it to easy, you couldn't cheat and set it to easy, because if you did that and you beat him, you didn't get to see the story ending. It just gave you congratulations, next time try it on a harder setting. And so you had to at least beat it on normal if you were going to see any kind of final. So after having tried to cheat it as a kid and put it on easy so I could see and I learned I got to do it the hard way. And so eventually I got Mo Betta. And by getting Mo Betta, I could beat M. Bison, and it was rewarding. I got to figure it out with all the different characters, learn all their special moves, and beat them and see all the different endings. And it's a very rewarding system if you're interested in those characters in that game, to see all their different endings and know a little bit more about those characters.